Optic is the best team after 2 years, Zescht? What the f?
And the dude just went hard, man. There was no stopping less. Obviously, the rest of the team, you know, notable players, Aspas, all that stuff.
Riot told you that it was X's decision?
No, Riot told it was
Riot said it was Riot's decision.
Riot came and said it was our decision no, it was nothing to do with XSET.
I think what happened.
I wanted to pull this off again, you know. I wanted to do this. I wanted to be like, hey guys, I was in Turkey. I bought the merch, but that is worthless now anyway.
Let's get into it. Segment 1. It is the champions. I don't know how we're going to call this. Did we call this the Champions of Istanbul? Because Champions of Istanbul doesn't sound that cool. It has to be the Champions of VCT 2022 because it is the biggest stage of the year. Are we taking a little bit away about Loud just being the Champions of Istanbul, Zescht?
Listen, man. You, first of all, absolutely ruined my... You ruined my joke, man. I wanted to pull this off again, you know. I wanted to do this. I wanted to be like, hey guys, I was in Turkey. I bought the merch, but that is worthless now anyway. Thanks a lot for that one, Vansilli.
You're just like ripping off your clothes, dude. What the fuck?
I like that ASMR.
I can invoice it every time. They told me here, like, if you have a shirt to rip, invoice it to us.
Invoice.
It was interesting, man. I can tell you one thing. That was definitely one hell of a battle that we have witnessed. The arena was vibrating. And I tell you one thing. There was not one Loud fan in that crowd. Every time someone tried to chant like a Vamos or a Let's Go Loud, nothing. Somehow all the North Americans started to live in Turkey for some reason.
That's awesome.
But it didn't work out. That is the better part. It did not work out. And I'm happy that every single international event got a different winner.
Yeah. What's your take on like the how Loud's been looking for like the past year, Tanner, from, you know, bombing out from group stages, not doing well in 2021, and then suddenly getting like a finals in Reykjavik with against Optic, then having to play against Optic 3 times this tournament here to finally win.
Yeah, that and like, I guess, like, I don't know if as a fan I kind of hated it at first, but as it grew on me, I'm like, oh, you know what, I like it, whatever. The Loud Optic, like, we have to have it. It's like The Office and Friends, you know, it just shows you have to watch. You have to see this matchup. I thought it was really cool, right? Obviously seeing a team, especially a Brazilian team, kind of level up the way they did. And I think it was so important, right, that you get that Reykjavik run because of some of the younger players on this team, where now you get to the largest match that you've probably played in Les's situation, he's probably played in his entire life. And the dude just went hard, man. There was no stopping Les. Obviously, the rest of the team, you know, notable players, Aspas, all that stuff across the board. But it was really cool to see this story. And as an NA fan, I feel like there isn't an NA fan out there that wasn't rooting for Loud in this situation. Not that we're rooting against Optic, but yeah, it was just so nice to see Loud kind of finally get this shining moment. And who better to beat in this moment than, you know, this Titan that they've had to continuously go up against.
Yeah, what I really like about this series too, and just overall this matchup between Optic and Loud, is like, yeah, maybe they played against each other for the nth time throughout the year, but I think that every single time we've had a different type of play style in the head-to-heads, especially when you're looking at how Optic played the grand finals. There was so many aggressive pushes from all the different 5 players on defender rounds to go for flanks, especially on Ascent, where that was the type of play style that we expected of Optic in the first place. And then Loud had to adapt to that. They start winning that game, and then it's a chess match of how do you call things on the spot. And that's what I really liked to see from 2 powerhouse teams like that. And I think you were nodding to agree here, Zescht.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, the kind of history they come from, where remember, right? It was in Copenhagen, where both were on pretty much on the chopping board, elimination stage type of group scenario, and then they go into that and they Loud loses in overtime. Blah, that was hard. Then they come together again to meet, and they win so easily against Optic here in Turkey, right? That 2-0. You remember how that Ascent looked like? They didn't have a chance, and suddenly it once more comes to that grand final. I was a little annoyed. I would have loved to see DRX Loud. I think that would have been more exciting, not gonna lie. But at the end of the day, it felt like it was that well-deserved breaking a streak at the end of the day. Not that Optic played bad, but at the same time, the question also comes is like, you're playing back-to-back best-of-5s in 2 repeating days. You don't have the same time for preparation. That's gotta be really painful. That gotta be super stressful as Optic, because that game versus DRX was draining, man. That was going on forever, basically. And DRX was coming in with a near reverse sweep, which was so well played by that team, by the way.
Yeah. And at least Yeah, go ahead, Tanner. Go ahead.
Can
Go
I just
ahead.
add to that real quick? I think
Yeah.
that's such a great point that Zescht just made about the back-to-back best of fives. Because when you don't have all that prep time, you don't have a lot going into this team that you've played over and over and over again, where you're 7-0 in all of your rematches that you've ever played, you need your star performers to show up, and that wasn't really happening, right? Countless times where we'd seen clutch situations where Crashes is falling just a bit short. And obviously that's a lot of weight to put on the shoulders of like an individual player. And I'm not saying that anybody specifically made Optic lose, but they just didn't have that extra firepower that they would need to kind of counteract the lack of preparation going into another best of five against this Loud team where, 5 maps, Breeze makes its way into the pool again. And they definitely needed some extra oomph and they didn't have it.
Here's why I'm also happy it's a Loud versus Optic in the grand finals and that Loud won, because looking into 2020 an America's win, with Brazil representing the Americas, NAs in the Americas, of course, and Latinams in America. So we can have a little bit of that sprinkle. We could take a little bit of that taste in North America for that win for Loud. And on top of that, we also had some shout outs from the whole Loud roster, including the coach Bazooka. Give a shout out to our very own Danny Montner, ex Counter-Strike legend in Fraud, also ex coach in T1 in Valorant. And he helped them out in the pistol rounds, and they were dedicating that win as much as it is to Loud that it was also to Fraud. So I think that was really fucking awesome to see. So now we have a little bit of an NA in the victory of Loud, and I could live with that. At least it didn't go to EMEA. With that said, though, that means that the kickoff tournament is going to be in Brazil. 30 teams to start things off in Sao Paulo. I think that's going to be fucking awesome, and I can't wait to see the kickoff in 2023. But at least with what's going on live right now, as we speak, is the GameChangers. So we have GameChangers. I think it's Series 3 in EMEA. We have Series 3 that's going to happen in North America very soon through the qualifiers this weekend. But let's have a chat about EMEA. What's going on right now? I know we don't have any official streams, but I know our colleagues here at Zescht, such as X-Warrior, Geo, they're following some teams closely in their personal streams going into this format.
Exactly. And I mean, it's the same. This is where we can talk a long time. Do we like this Swiss format? Do I not like this Swiss format? Is it a good format? Is it a bad format? Well, first of all, which is, I think, very important to mention, is that the usual suspects are leading for I mean, that is nowadays G2 Gozen, that is your Supermassive Blaze, that is your Case Hydra, which have showed they're good. The thing that is most interesting, though, which I like a lot, I think we have to really worry for that, is the guys from Na'Vi. Because Na'Vi obviously picked up a female team, right? That was that roster that mostly played as SMB, that was Proxima, that was Cephia, that was River. They have been playing good, right? This is this Foot Supermassive Blaze kind of mix they have made. And they've been playing good so far. They've in the past had decent tournaments. They also had like this Turkish only female tournament which they've won. So I'm like, promising as hell, could be interesting, because so far, take a look at it, those Game Changer finals have always been Guild-X versus G2 Gozen, and that gets boring at one point.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some good stuff that comes out of it, but I think that's the beauty of the Swiss rounds too. It's not only for the preparation for the international tournament that's going to be happening for Game Changers at the end of the year, but also just it's been the same format for almost all of the Game Changers, if not all of the Game Changers so far. So you actually continue with the same type of format to keep the teams easy and going for that one too, and used to the format. And that said, though, I think you were talking about Zescht, new signatures, new signings for the women's side. For Game Changers, but now we also have roster news happening on the men's side, on the male side, which is also going around. Let's start things off, sort of with TSM here. Tanner, talking about Juvenile has parted ways with TSM to start things off.
Well, yeah, and I think this kind of leading into the partnership program and where everybody's headed. I think this is an interesting decision, unless there's something going on behind the scenes, right? Because we haven't seen TSM since they'd been recently competing, not doing the LCQ and stuff like that. So they've been sitting on this decision for quite some time, it seems, to get rid of Juvenile. And I don't know. Again, I just feel like that's kind of a bad look when you're still pushing for partnership and now your team is without a coach. So it's interesting. I know that the rumors are, TSM want to buy Optic, but there's still so much unknown that I think you should kind of stick to what you know, stick to what you have, keep this solid core, and then go from there. Because if TSM does make it in, then you can look to make roster moves by picking or poaching players from the teams that don't make it in, or coaches from the teams that don't make it in. I don't. That's a really weird decision to me when, that just screams uncertainty to Riot Games, who you're trying to be on their good side.
Yeah, and on the other end, I think it's looking at Europe, right? In EMEA, we have MEC that officially have decided that each players will be parting ways and trying to find different opportunities. Or Zescht, are you sad about this news? Are you happy? What do you think are the chances of the whole roster finding a home as they part ways with each other?
So here's the thing. It happened a while ago already, a few weeks back, that Nat's already left, right? So
Correct.
I understood his move. This individual move of getting picked up is very interesting. By the way, he is in Paris right now. So, that could be
And was streaming like an hour ago in Paris.
Yep. So that could be an indicator of where it's going for him, right? But leaving that aside, I'm not. That's me. I'm not too surprised. I'm not too surprised that they split up, because which is the third CIS player that you're picking up? At the same time, I'm telling you right now, whoever you're going to pick up from that roster, you're doing yourself a favor. Like, you cannot tell me that there's one player who's not worth picking up. You don't pick up Chronicle. What are you doing, man? You don't pick up Redguard because you need an IGL. Yeah, who else is going to IGL in EMEA that is decent enough? Name one. Yeah, cannot think of anyone. You could get Redguard any day of the freaking week. Sorry, can say fucking week anyway. So it is overall a list of players that should all make it possible, but obviously the ongoing political situation makes it super complicated. It's making it super complicated. There was seemingly this rumor going around of getting some of them even out to NA, if I read that correctly. Well, try that at the moment. That's something that is really unfortunate, because this is really that set this spiral, right? Actually, if you think about it, this is maybe was part of the downfall of Gambit / Mech, unfortunately. And it's sad, man. They will get a home. They will get picked up. Does it make sense? Yes. Does it make me sad? Yes.
Tanner, you Sedge?
Yeah, I think that sucks. I would like to see, Anderson, I think, said it the best way, right? Is like a team sticking together, playing together, grinding it out together. It means that you really do want to be a team. And not that these guys don't, but the opportunities, the politics behind it, like Zescht said, it probably is easier to go your own way. But these players need to be picked up. That's the scariest thing to me, is that you had this star team that, with franchising, things being awkward, now they're all going their separate ways, with Mech not doing their thing. I would hate to see these guys not find a home.
Yeah. Well, I thought that we finally would have a show that would be able to upload on our socials later on that's going to get monetized, because I actually didn't swear yet. But then now that you fucking said it, thankfully we saw sponsors that's going to help us pay the bills, right? So our second sponsor of the show today is also going to be Juke.gg. Big shout out to Juke.gg to put some money in and help us pay some bills, man. They're actually an awesome platform. It's for everyone that, doesn't want to breathe around a toxic environment and on social media, because I don't know if you guys are on Twitter lately, but there's some shit going around, man.
Listen here, right? Listen, I was in Romania 4 weeks away with my Bugatti, and I met this guy called Carlos Art, and we've been partying. He told me about the esports team together, and we had a really great time. He really has a nice wife, a nice kid. I really like him. So with that being said, I love it. Really, really friendly environment we're having here in esports. Totally not a great idea to pick up 2 female teams in 2022 and to do that shit.
Yeah.
So sorry. Go on. You want to talk about a friendly environment in esports? Juke.gg, please.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. At least we could talk our shit and we could be toxic if we want on Twitter, but we're not going to do it for Juke. But what I also liked with Juke is that you can actually follow your favorite scenes and get the latest news. Yeah, you'll get some news of what was happening, lately with, some people partying around and whatnot. But at least the people going in the comments are not going to be at each other's throats like we currently see on other platforms right now. The other thing that's cool, though, is we get notifications for our favorite scenes, right? So with everything that's going around with the partnership program now, fuck it. You guys know what I'm talking about here. But with everything that's happening right now with the partnership program, and I have to scroll through the TLs and Reddit all the time, at least I have the notifications right on my phone with whatever's going on. And apparently the latest one, TSM unlikely to secure a Valorant partnership with Riot in 2023. We'll talk about that in a bit once we have Frost X 100 Thieves and from nearest airport to join us now. But let's go back and talk about Champions, because we had a chance to talk about Loud winning the championship. We had a full month in fucking Turkey, full of Valorant action. So there's got to be at some point within this month that there was like a favorite moment that you guys had and that you could share with us here. And I'm going to start things off with you, Zescht. Let me know your favorite moment.
I tell you exactly. So I
Is that
was
a
there
is
on
that a measuring tape?
No, that's my AirPods, man.
Oh.
So- I'm gonna measure how much I like this game. I'm telling you that. This game right here, FPX versus DRX, I was sitting in the crowd and it was the best thing ever. This game right here was the most exciting, most interesting. Fuck that Optic versus Loud game, you know, North America getting slaughtered just back to back. No, this game right here was DRX playing amazing defense, retake after retake. Those guys built a wall around it and you couldn't do anything about it. And FPX was struggling, man. It was sad to see. Angel was probably in one of his worst states ever, and it left me speechless. This right here, I'm just going to tell you right there, this was a 9-3 scoreline for FPX, and they threw it. They threw it. They played a new composition with Viper on Haven. When is the last time you've seen it in NA, Vansilli? I don't know.
Never,
That
because
upset me.
we know how to play this map.
Yeah.
We're not Team Liquid trying to play a Viper on Haven either.
Well, we also did just get shit on Haven by Lao, so I don't know. I don't know how well we know how to play the map. We're still trying to force the Phoenix.
Yeah, true. You got to
Hey, the
force the
Phoenix
Phoenix
did
and
look
then
good. The Phoenix
Did
did
it?
look good.
That 614 looked really good on NA. Yeah.
Tanner,
Looked really good, man.
I'm gonna change the fucking topic because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on to the negative part of NA because NA's on top, baby. America's on top. Tanner, what's your favorite moment of Istanbul?
Well, Vans, I wish I could be back in the corner of NA on top, and we talked about Haven, and it's Optic getting shit on Haven. This is my favorite moment because of the way that Les played this. I was sitting, unfortunately not in the stands, in my seat, and I was like, this guy, there's no way this happens, right? Surely he doesn't make it out of this. And then he's just left, right, left, runs him down for the last one to get the ace. And it was one of those things that it just, like, I felt like there was an angel behind Les, and Les just grew wings. The ability to make this play, this is Aim Labs all the way, by the way. It was just like, this can't happen. For Optic, this cannot happen right now. And then Les made it happen. And I was like, all right, that's it. Like, holy shit, man, you got to give it to him.
Yeah. Well, you know what my favorite moment was? It wasn't even about a game. Because what did I do last weekend? I was at a cottage. I was fucking cracking some brewskis. I'm still reminiscing from the weekend. I'm still white clawing right now. But
Out of White Claw.
I got to watch a bit. I got to watch a bit of the games. But I think what was cool was actually seeing the viewership that we actually had overall. I think if you have to compare the viewership from this year's at Champions versus last year at Champions, and we thought that we maybe hit the plateau on year number 1. Year 2, I think it was fucking awesome, the amount of viewership that we had. The fans to finally have people watching live what's going on in the grand finals during the whole stage. Zescht, I mean, you could attest to this, even though the commentators and the audio was just in Turkish only. I'm pretty sure it was a lively moment out in the audience.
Was super interesting. Like, overall, I mean, I'll say it like this. Istanbul is an interesting location where I don't know if they'll do a final again, because let's say it like this. I think you felt safer in Vietnam when it comes to driving. But in all honesty, it was cool, right? Particularly when Fnatic was still in the game. The crowd was mental. But otherwise, the crowd was overall really nice. It still felt like you realized that this is the second year. You still realize that this is like from the venue and everything. It's like one of those smaller DreamHack tournaments ish, because it still feels like there's so much more possible. You need to see. I was seeing LEC finals as well, and it was like, bruh, that was massive. That was big. That was so big, and there was so many people cheering. And you know, then it is obviously such a result and such a game and so on. But I feel like we have so much potential. Like, we have so much freaking potential, man. And that was a great start. I'm not quite sure if I like the golden carpet thing, I'm not gonna lie. But it was a little odd, right? It felt like whatever. Yeah, I think it's the greatest thing we've had in a while. I think it's the greatest thing we've had in a while, and I cannot wait what there is to come next year, because next year the topic for later, I've heard. Yeah,
and there's going to be a lot of money into next year, I think, especially when there's $16 million that are going to their teams at Champions, right, with the amount of skins that they sold. So I think that's pretty fucking awesome too. But as much as there were highs, as with us sharing our highest moments, there were also some lows going into the tournament as well. And I think the biggest one that hit social media throughout the Istanbul Championship was basically this XSET versus FPX going into having a replay round 24. And then going into overtime, where almost XSET could have won that one. That would have fucking created some ruckus. But there was actually 4 guys. They're still trying to find a name for their crew. But it was Hiko, Steel, Sliggy, and the return of Slasher. Actually, they all came together after Champions, did a little bit of a podcast, and invited some prominent figures that were in Istanbul to come hang out with them on a stream. And one of them was actually Ardiis of FPX to hop on with them to talk about this situation about the turret bug. So let's have a listen and see what Ardiis had to say and how he explained that situation out.
But the reason we were angry is we heard like the Killjoy turret shot Heaven and short. They gave them fake comms. So they heard one Heaven, one short. They lost the 3v2 because of the fake comms, I'm gonna guess that's why. And they weren't happy about the round. So they wanted the so what we basically got told is they weren't happy about the round and they wanted it replayed. Then all of a sudden, later, it's all Riot's decision. Riot want to replay the round. Riot are unhappy, but we thought XSET were doing it, and Riot wanted to take the blame on their side. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just Riot weren't happy with the bug. Maybe we don't know how it was, but that's why we were so tilted at the moment in time. If that makes sense. Does that make sense to what I'm saying?
The
So from your
truth comes out.
No.
From your understanding, XSET was upset first before Riot made the decision.
Yeah, but the Riot literally said to us it was their decision. Like the Riot came up to us as a list. It was all
Riot
of us.
told you that
Okay.
it was XSET's decision.
No, Riot
I
thought it was
think
their decision.
Riot said it was
Okay.
Riot's decision.
Riot came up and said it was our decision to no, it has nothing to do with XSET.
I think what happened, it's like a little bit like read between the lines. XSET was probably playing the round, saying one Heaven, one short, and then that's messed them up. And then they're like, "Dude, I thought you said one was Heaven. What do you mean?" And then they were like bickering at each other. And then Riot's like, "Oh wait, like the turret shot. Like I listened to their comms. They were actually confused about everything." And then Riot made the decision because XSET was just like so confused about everything that Riot made the decision for XSET. That's what I'm assuming
Listen,
happened.
that's why I think happened as well. But like in the heat of the moment when you just won a game as well, and they were trying to explain to us the turret. Like I remember saying to the developers, I was like, "Listen, a Killjoy's turret is facing like this. It shoots over there. Where does it look after it's shot? It turns around. It goes straight back to its default position." And I was like trying to explain it to them. They weren't having it. They said it was a bug. So basically, ended up having like this whole situation happened over fuck all, I think. But
And they were also explaining later on throughout the conversation as to like would FPX replay the round if it actually happened to them? And then Ardiis was like, "Fuck no." But then eventually, when you try to think about what's at stake and whatnot, potentially, anybody in that situation probably would have replayed the round. But on the other end, if you were actually the team that was going to say no, we don't want to replay the round, the situation probably could have happened where Riot's going to say, well, look, we're going to make the decision, we're enforcing it, and you still have to replay the round no matter what, just to like keep that competitive integrity, since that conversation happened in the first place and something has to come out of it. You can't just like pause, wait 30 minutes, an hour, and then have nothing happen right after. So an outcome had to happen and they had to replay the round. But thankfully, it was still FPX that won. But I still want to know, what are you guys' thoughts? Was this a right call, what Riot did? If this was actually a Riot decision, and you saw everything else that happened on social media, the Viper Wall that went across Icebox, the Owl Drone back in like what Hiko was talking about back in like what was it, Iceland, where it didn't actually drone the right way, and all these bugs that are currently happening with the game, all those rounds were never replayed. Ardiis was talking about him lagging to like 50 packet loss. Are we going to replay the round? We're not going to replay the round. So are we being a little bit too subjective? Are we being too gray on or not showing what's black and white in terms of like what's a bug and what should be replayed, Zescht?
So that is a difficult topic, Vansilli. So let's take this from a different perspective. So the thing is, we all do mistakes and we're human. That's what I'm convinced of. Should you as a developer be certain of how a game works or not? Yes, I am somewhat concerned. I'm somewhat convinced. But what should your referees be like? Are your referees actually former pro players? No, most likely not. Should you know it goes back into default position when you swing it for basically one bullet, but it shoots a burst of free, so you go back and then, it does that? You should know that. The movement looked weird, but you should know that. I'm 100% convinced you should know that, but it's a situation of it is what it is, right? It reminds me a lot of, it's just going to be a stupid example, but referees in football always do a mistake. They have the VAR, right?
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
can
yeah.
take a look at the monitor and you see a mistake.
Wait. I just got to cut you about the turret thing, because because I play a lot of Killjoy too, and if the turret sees somebody, it goes back to the initial position. That is correct. But if it still looks into that direction in the first place, is because somebody potentially even jiggled there. So the turret could still give that information that potentially somebody was up on heaven and then goes back to the original position if the other person only jiggle peeked from the other side of the corner. You know what I mean? Where the turret actually does, like, it'll do the and then look and not shoot, but still look back in the original position. That could also still happen as a Killjoy turret.
Yeah, but I mean, wasn't it the matter of fact that it was shooting once, was for 1 second seeing Angel. He was backing off before all three shoots shot. Shots were shot, for Christ's sake.
Seashell, shot the seashore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anglo-Saxon, whatever. And then it goes back to heaven. Wasn't it
Yeah.
like that? Or am I wrong?
I think where it got weirder
You're
was
right.
that you could see the player the entire time from the Killjoy turret's perspective. So when you're looking at that, I think it was the Omen that was peeking, and you could always see from left side of tree coming out, then right side to tree. You could always still see part of the character model of the agent model. And then the turret still does weird things by snapping way up towards heaven and shooting a shot up towards
Yeah.
heaven. But yeah, the weirdest thing about this for me is that, and I know that we're not here to sweep it under the rug. I would love to sweep it under the rug. Let's just forget about it and just move on to 2023 like it never happened. We can't do that. But Killjoy was still allowed for the rest of the tournament. Knowing that that bug is a thing, I think was one of the issues that we talked about last week on the show. And it's like, so when you're looking at that, where is the competitive integrity? Because you're literally just allowing an agent to be played on the same exact map. And you're either saying, hey, never put your turret on dice, please, because we don't want to do that bug, or you're accepting the fact that, hey, at some point in this game, that bug might happen again, and now we have to rerun this round once more because we ran it before. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's really weird that Killjoy was allowed.
I still think that it sets a dangerous precedent, right? When you don't have anything that's written black and white into the rule book of what's a bug and what's not a bug, and if there is a bug, is a round replayed or not. I think that's what needs to be the clear-cut written rule into that playbook, and it is going to be a living, breathing document. I said this 2 years ago when we saw that turret bug with the Sage Wall boost. Remember that one on Ascent? It was like the G2 match. Anyways, well, we digress. So we'll see what happens in 2023. Hopefully we get better rule sets out of that one too. But
Was that also on a top of a Killjoy turret that like this is like Killjoy turret, Sage Wall? Get Killjoy out the game.
pretty sure it was that. That said, though, let's go back and continue and talk about champions. And we talked about, Loud being the champions of Istanbul, but do we actually have finally a clear champion, a best team that we currently have in Valorant after 2 years? You don't think that Optic is the best team after 2 years, Zescht? What the fuck?
Hey, listen.
We were just having a show where I said we wouldn't have Angry Silly, and you're telling me that Optic is not the best team
North
that we
America.
currently have?
Hello, pounds, miles, feet. Settle down, okay?
All right.
We're taking this the metric way. So
Try to prove. Okay, try to convince me. Try to fucking convince me.
You're
You're fucking wrong.
I'm talking to a GTA character, honestly. What is this? Listen to me. Did FPX attend the first tournament of the year? They couldn't. They could not. They looked in prime condition and they could not, Vansilli.
Mm-hmm.
Their consistency couldn't be proven. No.
What?
No. They could not attend it. This means to me that even though Optic was good, FPX could have went for the consistency throne. And I believe I'm right. And I believe you are wrong.
Hold on.
I'm holding on as long as you want.
Yeah,
Go on, please.
let's at least see what FNS has to say. Let's at least see that.
Hi, Declan again from Dexerto. So kind of despite today's results, you guys have placed first, third, and now second at all the international events so far, or all the international events for 2022. Is it fair to say that you guys are the best team of the year of 2022? Yes. Thank you.
Second
Hey,
at
you're right.
Champions.
I'm sorry. I'm right. You're right. He said it. Hey, sorry.
Second at
I didn't mean
Champions. Second at Champions, when throughout the whole circuit, there's 500 teams, let's say, that's been qualifying, trying to qualify through the open circuit, through the group stages, through the playoffs to get circuit points to make it to the top 16.
Yeah,
and they
you're
get
right.
second place. They got third place at Copenhagen. They got first place in Reykjavik. When they're also playing as Envy, they got second place last year as well against Gambit, right? Or against M3C back then in Berlin. How are they not yes, they are the most consistent team, but also how are they not the best team based on all of those showings too? When at this stage, the top 16 teams in the world are always playing against each other.
Listen, my man, I give you the last year argument, okay? FPX last year was still choking on whatever, right? But at the same time, man,
you still had Mech.
Listen, hold on. Just because North America just consists of 2 countries and you have no issues at all with each other doesn't mean that we have it that easy over here, okay? Listen, just because you're both our neighbors and there's no other neighboring state, this is not our problem, man. So what I'm trying to say here, I believe within this year, FPX could have been the more consistent one. Could have been the more consistent one. But they got bamboozled and robbed. Do I automatically say that Optic is a bad team? No, Vansilli. No, Optic did great, man. They did awesome.
That's why they're the best team. If not Optic, then who? If not Optic, then who? If not Optic, then who? Just give me one. Give me one right now.
Hello.
First team that pops to your mind as the best team in Valorant
You are
right
an old man who's hungover. Please come down. Take your aspirin. We're getting there, okay? I'm just saying.
Sounds like you're saying FPX.
I honestly cannot say convincingly FPS. I cannot lie to you. I cannot lie to you.
Then it's Optic, man.
Yeah, I guess you got me. I'll give you that. For now.
I do respect that you stood your ground and you tried to come out. I do respect. I was gonna hit you with an earnings check and just say, hey, between Optics and FPX, hey, earnings check. Let's see who got more money in it. But I respect that. But yeah, I agree. I think Optic. I agree with Zescht, who now is on board with Optic being the best team in 2020. Actually, I did have an argument that was going to be, if you're not the best team in North America, how could you be the best team in the world for 2020? Right? If you're getting second place in North America, but that's obviously jokes because they shit on everybody internationally. But yeah, Optic, Optic just looked damn good, and they had the best player. I think Ye looked like the best player throughout the year.
Yeah,
as well.
fair.
You guys know what the crazy part is, though?
No.
All 3 of us think that Optic is the best team in the world currently in Valorant. And Optic is not making it to the partnership program in 2023, according to sources here from George Geddes. That is some spicy shit that we're going to have to talk about after the break. And before we go to the break, we're going to give one more shout out here to our main sponsor, one of our main sponsors, Twitch.tv, to make this show possible. Thanks for your money. Thanks for providing these White Claws for me as well. And once we come back, we're going to have Frost for you, or Frost VSU, depending how you guys want to approach the name. Hector is going to be joining us, ex-coach of 100 Thieves, current coach of Nearest Airport, to talk about the partnership program here in North America. So don't go anywhere. Be right back.